Those parking spaces are being used, especially with the popularity of La Fiesta. A lot of the spillover from limited parking in that area goes into that Kmart thing, so that's another issue. But from what I'm seeing on this and what I heard presented tonight, is a park is proposed, that these people will have a park as such. Where? And what constitutes a park?
Well, we talked about three quarters of an acre to an acre of more green space and less impervious. But I don't believe there was. Did you mention a park?
The area we're talking about, the entry plaza, is also serving as a pocket park where there'll be sculptures, benches.
Oh, can you point that out?
Area for,
Can you point that out?
that is in this area right here.
Oh, okay. Between the two entrances of the buildings. Joe's throwing money around. Pretty good.
But we now define a park then as an area with maybe a little grassy strip. I'm thinking of the beautiful work that Market 22 has done down in the area down by the roundabout.
Yeah.
I mean, that's lovely, but that's not a park. I mean,
No, I wouldn't call that a park. I'd
Well,
call it
that's,
a place to congregate or an area to, relax and.
I just
But-
heard the word park.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a park. What we have across the street, the 37 acres,
That's a park.
that was commercial. I mean, God bless you. God bless you. That was commercial property that the town board purchased for a park, and that's a park. But I wouldn't call this a park.
But I heard that, and that's why I'm looking for clarification. And what was the other thing? Oh, that strip along 146 by Market 32. I really haven't seen any, and the grassy area. Nobody congregates there. It's not made for that. It's beauty and it adds something to the environment. But I'm just suggesting that's not an appropriate term for that area.
You mean the median that goes?
I'm talking the median itself.
Yeah.
And the,
Yeah, I wouldn't call that a
the
park.
area
no.
that where the Droskill was covered over, all the grassy strips and stuff. That is not a park. Okay, and it's not a congregating area. I'm just
No,
saying.
I wouldn't call
Be
it that.
careful. All I'm suggesting is with the terminology, and I'd like to make sure that we're all clear on those terms.
Yeah, I mean, it's a place to congregate, and you said it had benches and decorative
But
amenities and things of that nature, but there's no playground equipment, there's no
and
ball fields.
I don't want to get confused about the definition of the word park. I mean, there are parks like Congress Park,
Yeah.
or what Clifton Park has when they bought the school land. That's park land. But there's these concepts of pocket parks, smaller recreational areas. For instance, we took, when we did the project across the street, the apartments that we did over in Hannah Parking Lot, there was pedestrian connectivity that was made by a sidewalk going from Mount Brugger's across over towards Blaze. We put a purple sculpture in there and brought some areas. It's not finished. There's fencing that's going to go in. There's benches that are going to go in. We would consider that to be a pocket park, right? It's not Congress Park, but it's,
no,
it's a pocket park.
I'm familiar with
Yeah.
the size of the space, and I heard terms thrown out. And the other, and I also clarification with the green space. Okay, when there isn't that much land. I live in Woodland Hills. We've been through this 1,000 times. There's no green space left for that area. Okay,
Which area?
for Clifton Park, it's one of the few subdivisions in the town that does not have green space.
Oh, you mean
Why?
pocket park within Woodland
Well,
Hills?
there isn't, I mean,
Yeah.
whatever, for
Yeah.
myriad problems, and you can't go back. So since you can't go back, I'm aware of it, and I'm just looking for clarification and whatever.
Sure.
The other thing I also learned through some of the other processes that when we talk about green space, so much green space, well, it can be all lumped together. We could have a grassy strip here, we can have a grassy strip there, but then we add them all together, and then that is the green space for this whole area.
Right.
Right.
Well, green space in an area where the green space is surrounded by concrete and pavement is much different than
This
say
is exactly.
in back of the building where there's green space, decent green space. We're across the street where the town has the 37-acre park, you know, so green space certainly means different things depending on where it is.
Yes, and I heard it from Allegheny, that, oh,
Yeah.
that's so much for green space.
Well, as I said, there would be an additional 3/4 of an acre to acre of green space. That's just green areas, but again, it's all surrounded by concrete and pavement. There's no doubt about that. And one thing, if you're talking about that area, I wish I had a pointer, but the area down by this be the southern part of, yeah, there you go, Joe, right in there. There was a time where people did think that was a place to congregate. And it was when the Grateful Dead was still around. And I drove down there one day, and they had blankets out there, and they were having a grand old time. And I had to tell them that was private property.
Okay, and the other thing was about the traffic thing, those numbers with the traffic thing, whenever they were taken, and whatever that refers to. The reality is, it's going to increase the traffic flow in and out of that whole area also. I mean, it's not possible unless those people don't have cars.
No, I think what they're correct me if I'm wrong, but what they're trying to say is that if it was Kmart or another retail business that was in the building, the traffic counts would be exponentially 90% higher than they will be for this particular proposal. So they're not saying there won't be any traffic. What they're saying is compared to a retail use in an 86,000 square foot building, that the retail would be a lot more traffic than this will generate.
Again, we're talking realities of what does exist and why it came on and not, so.
Yeah, and you know, I don't think letting the Kmart building sit there and rot for another number of years is a good solution or a viable option. So yes, something will be there. It might be this project. Who knows? Who knows? Some big retailer might knock on their door tomorrow. But something will be there. If a big retailer does knock on their door tomorrow, those traffic counts in the 600s, not the 40s, would be the reality.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. Sure.
With calculation.
Sure. Thank you. Yeah, but yeah, green space in the exit 9 area is, especially in this area, parking lot is what it is. You know, it's surrounded by concrete pavements. Anyone else? Yes, Joe?
Yes.
John? How you doing?
Good.
That's good.
John Bologna, 16 Goldfield Lane. Question for developers. This seems like a real nice idea. The first development looks good. I'm curious what's going to happen to the rest of the parking lot. Will it remain vacant? You know, any other use? Will it be empty?
So the,
You know, down here, because it looks like your parking is up here and
Correct.
then
right, so as the other woman stated, this parking area is used, and some of this is used as well. We do have the potential to do something out here. We don't know what would eventually occur out there, but there could be something out there. And any interest that we've ever had with developing this, the question's always been, well, what's going on with this 86,000 square foot box back there? So I think this happening here may allow something to happen out here. What that is, we don't know yet.
now it'll just remain a parking lot.
Yeah, and the idea would be that something is developed here in accordance with the town center plan that sort of completes this part of the street.
One step at a time. Thanks.
Yeah, and I know the parking area that you could say is associated with the Kmart and, I don't know, probably a few of those smaller retailers there. You know, during the holidays, certainly gets used to some extent as well. Okay. All right, anyone else? Okay. Any questions, comments at this time? Okay, I think we covered a good portion of what we wanted to cover here. So, so why don't we close the public hearing at this time? One thing I wanted to mention to you while you're here, it was discussed that our traffic safety committee, one of the members had mentioned that, and he gave me a picture, so I can share the picture with you. It'll make a lot more sense perhaps than me trying to explain it. But as you're driving towards the new building from the Hannaford parking lot, he thought there would be some potential for some signage or something that might make it more apparent that there is traffic coming from your right as you're heading towards Clifton Country Road from the Hannaford parking lot towards the building. So I'll give you the picture. Perhaps he can email me. He printed it out and gave it to me. Perhaps he can email me the picture, or I can just give you the hard copy, and you can take a look at that and see what you can do.
Yeah, we'd be happy to look at anything that's, you know, that makes sense, if there's a traffic concern there.
One step further closer to the building in Clifton Country Road, there is a crosswalk. And they also mentioned that perhaps a crosswalk in that location, if appropriate, I don't know if it is or not, but would be at least a visionary thing that people would see that and perhaps use additional caution as they're driving into that area.
Okay.
Another option that was suggested was some kind of signage which would be on the right of the vehicle adjacent to the island, because there's an island there that separates the Hannaford parking lot from the new building. So, but like I said, I'll get you the picture, and if you could take a look at that, I'd appreciate it. Very good. And all I do want to mention, it was mentioned tonight a couple of times by myself and others, that there is the changing face of retail and mall properties. You know, the Clifton Park Center Mall is done very well and has very little vacancy. But you know, in today's world, that can change very quickly. And you know, so this town center plan and our ability and willingness to consider additional options for redevelopment, certainly important now, but you know, there will be other opportunities for redevelopment in the future, I guess is the best way to put it. All right, very good. All right, we have a few resolutions. Teresa, if you could read through those and we'll consider each one individually.
A resolution to grant the Saratoga County Sewer District Number 1 and the Michaels Group Homes LLC an easement over and through a portion of town property for sanitary sewer line constructed per the approved subdivision plat for Crescent Woods subdivision. Whereas the town of Clifton Park, as landowner of a parcel of land identified situated in the town of Clifton Park, Saratoga County, further describes in Schedule A attached and located on town-owned open space to the south of Patriot Circle, and whereas pursuant to approved plans for the Crescent Woods subdivision, sanitary sewer infrastructure for the development will be served and maintained by Saratoga County Sewer District, and whereas the Saratoga County Sewer District Number 1 has requested a permanent sanitary easement to effectively maintain, repair, and replace the sewer main, and whereas the town board wishes to convey a permanent easement to the County of Saratoga over the lands referenced above for the purposes of operation and maintenance of sanitary sewer improvements to be constructed by the Michaels Group. Now therefore be it resolved that the supervisor is authorized to convey a permanent easement for the maintenance, repair, and sanitary sewer improvements as described in Schedule A to the Saratoga to the County of Saratoga as attached, subject to approval by town attorney.
See you, Joe.
A resolution authorizing the purchase of snow throwing equipment, whereas Daniel Clemens, Supervisor of Buildings and Grounds, solicited quotes for the snow throwing attachment for a Toro Dingo snow thrower owned by the department, and whereas Grassland Equipment and Irrigation Corporation, Troy Schenectady Road, Latham, as an authorized Toro dealer, submitted the lowest quote for the attachment at a cost not to exceed $5,650, and whereas Daniel Clemens has recommended the equipment be purchased from Grassland Equipment and Irrigation, now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby authorizes the supervisor of Buildings and Grounds to purchase the snow thrower equipment from Grassland Equipment and Irrigation Corporation in an amount not to exceed $5,650. A resolution authorizing the wiring and installation of 4 big-ass macro fans at Prestige Services Arena, whereas the town has received the donation of large indoor fans through Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, and whereas Daniel Clemens, Supervisor of Buildings and Grounds, requested quotes for the wiring and installation of the 4 fans to improve air circulation and cooling efficiency within the arena, and whereas Wiring Concepts LLC, 137 Hop City Road, Ballston Spa, has submitted the lowest quote for wiring and installation of 4 large macro fans as a specialty item at a cost not to exceed $8,500, and whereas Daniel Clemens has recommended the equipment be wired and installed by Wiring Concepts LLC, now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby authorizes the supervisor of Buildings and Grounds to have the fans installed by Wiring Concepts LLC for a total amount not to exceed $8,500. A resolution to accept a proposal for the rental of 3 tents to be used on Household Hazardous Waste Day, whereas proposals have been received for the rental of tents to be used on Household Hazardous Waste Day, September 7th, 2019, and whereas after reviewing the proposals received, Stormwater Management Technician Scott Reese has recommended that the low proposal of Whalen and Sons for an amount of $1,855 for the rental of 3 tents be accepted. Now therefore be it resolved that the proposal of Whalen and Sons, 5 North Street, Troy, New York, is hereby accepted for an amount not to exceed $1,850 for the rental of 3 tents to be used on Household Hazardous Waste Day, to be paid from Special Collections Day. A resolution authorizing the highway superintendent to purchase an electric motor tire changer and transfer it from contingency, whereas Highway Department solicited quotes for a motorized tire changer, and whereas Dan Bull, Superintendent of Highways, recommends the purchase of an electric motor tire changer from Napa Tools and Equipment in Scotia, New York, at a price not to exceed $5,679.99. Now therefore be it resolved that the comptroller is authorized to transfer $5,000 in contingency to DA 5132-200, which is equipment from Highway. Resolved that the town board authorizes the purchase of an electric motor tire changer from Napa Tools and Equipment for $5,679.99. A resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign a lease agreement with National Business Technologies for a digital copying system for use by the town clerk's office, whereas town clerk Patricia O'Donnell has requested that a new digital copier printer be leased for use by the department, and whereas the proposed cost for leasing the copier has been budgeted for the attached schedule, and whereas quotes were received from National Business Technology submitting the lowest quote of $104.46 per month for 36 months. Now therefore be it resolved that the town supervisor is authorized to enter into a lease agreement with National Business Technologies for a Kyocera copier printer system for 36 months at a cost not to exceed $104.46 per month, plus .006 for black and white copies and .05 for color copies.
Very good. Any questions on the resolutions? Okay, Teresa, if you could read the headings, please.
Resolution number 196 of 2019, a resolution to grant the Saratoga County Sewer District Number 1 and the Michaels Group's Homes LLC an easement over and through a portion of town property for a sanitary sewer line constructed per the approved subdivision plot for Crescent Woods subdivision.
So moved.
Second. Moved by Mrs. Standard, second by Mr. Whalen. Discussion. Okay, Teresa.
Councilman Whalen? Yes. Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Welowitz?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 197 of 2019, a resolution authorizing the purchase of snow throwing equipment.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Mrs. Standard, second by Ms. Walowit. Why do we need this, Dan?
This attachment for the dingo, which we just got this spring, is a little narrower, allows us to remove snow from some of our smaller bridges that we have on the paths. In particular, the bike path along McElroy Road, about a half mile. We did it by hand last year. This one we'll be able to go right down it with this machine, even right out here on the sidewalks of Town Hall.
Very good. How is that bingo working?
Well, it works really well. It's a super versatile machine that's
Yeah,
out
it is.
there every day. We've got getting more and more attachments for it all the time. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's definitely. I was a little skeptical at first, but I'm sold now.
Very good.
Good idea.
Thank you.
Any questions for them? Okay.
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Walowitz?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 198 of 2013, a resolution authorizing the wiring and installation of 4 big-ass macro fans at Prestige Services Arena.
So moved.
Second.
That's the actual name. You weren't adding that in,
No.
right?
That's the end of the resolution.
Just checking here. Just check. Yeah, that is the name. And they're quite popular. You see them in a lot of different applications, and I want to thank them for this donation, and we'll have them in to thank them. But we expect they're big fan. How long are what's the wingspan, Dan?
It's an 8-foot diameter, these fans are.
Yeah. So they are big. They are big fans, and make very little, if any, noise. They will be installed in the rafters of the arena. You know, one thing when we received the last check for the land lease for the ice arena, we looked at some different priorities that we wanted to accomplish, and we redid the bathrooms, doing a lot of work in the locker rooms, which was needed. Painted the inside lobby area as well as the wall down inside the arena. We're now going to paint the bleachers themselves because that definitely needs it, and other things. But one thing we looked at was a dehumidification system, which was hundreds of thousands of dollars, and to get a system that would be effective for a rink that size. This won't do quite as good a job as a dehumidification system. I'm not saying it will, but these fans will make a difference in the arena. When it's in the warmer months, it will move air and will allow the arena and people within the arena to have a more comfortable experience. And when the ice is in, it will move the air and hopefully alleviate any humidity that is in the rink. Every rink has humidity, but hopefully it'll eliminate at least a good amount of the humidity, move the air around. So we think in both seasons, since it is a year-round facility used for many different activities, that it will be these fans will make a big difference. So, and they are free, so we can't beat free. And we just need to pay for the installation and the wiring, which I thought was very reasonable.
Great. The wiring concept's done a lot of work for the town in the past too, and always have done a fantastic job. Never a problem with them getting it done and done properly. So.
Yeah, very good. Okay, any other questions for Dan or me? Okay.
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Walowitz?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 199 of 2019, a resolution to accept a proposal for the rental of 3 tents to be used for household hazardous waste day.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Mrs. Standard, second by Ms. Wallowit. As I had mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, Household Hazardous Waste Day is coming up. So September 7th, please join us and effectively and safely dispose of those dastardly household chemicals. Okay.
Just to mention, there's no relation between myself and Whalen and Sons. They're a fine company. But
Oh, yeah.
no relation.
Okay, Teresa.
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallowitz?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 200 of 2019, a resolution authorizing the highway superintendent to purchase an electric motor tire changer and a transfer from contingency.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Standard, Ms. Wallowit, I'm sorry, second by Mr. Whalen. What you got here?
Just buying a new tire machine. Our current one is 16 years old, as far as back as we can think of it. It was bought during New Gerard's years, so we were hoping to replace it at the end of the year and surplus the old machine and maybe get some money for it. But unfortunately, a motor and a compressor in it are dead. We can't really do much with it, so it's scrap.
So what exactly does the equipment do?
This is, you put an old tire on, it breaks the tire off the bead of the rim, and then they can manually pull the tire off,
yeah.
and it helps push the new tire on. And with over 250 vehicles in town, it's going to be tough to do that all by hand. Plus, our plow trucks are coming up here soon, and those are tough.
Well, used those many times with racing tires. They work quite well.
They're very nice.
It does take a little bit of elbow grease, but not. Any questions for Dan? Okay.
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallowitz?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 201 of 2019, a resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign a lease equipment with National Business Technologies for a digital copying system for use by the county post office. So moved.
Second. Moved by Mrs. Standard. Second, get that right this time. Second by Mr. Whalen. Anything you want to add here, Teresa?
No.
Works out.
Teresa up, so.
Okay. Very good. Well, good enough.
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallowitz?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes. I do just, or any other business coming before the board this evening? And I do want to mention one thing. For those of us that have lived in town for quite some time, and I remember the 1990s vividly, and our water situation was not the best, that's for sure. And in a dry summer, any summer, but particularly a dry summer, it was problematic as far as the amount of water that was available. We've, since that time, made great strides with the amount of water that's available and also the quality in many aspects. And I thought we had a very good test of that recently. The county system, and in the summertime we do buy quite a bit of water from the county system. But the county system had a break. It was somewhere in Saratoga Springs, up in that area. And whenever there's a water line break in any system, 9.9 times out of 10, you're required to have a boil water advisory, just purely as precautionary. In that case, it would have been, I guess, a town-wide boil water for that situation. We did not want to have that situation for the town, so we stopped buying county water until the break was fixed and the testing was completed, and there would no longer be a boil water advisory necessary. Now that process took 3 days total. So during that 3 days, we used our other sources that are available to us. Now we still have our internal sources, but we also have strategic connections with Glenville and Half Moon. So we did put those connections to good use. The final result being that we had plenty of water. During that time, it had been, and that was, we've had some rain the last few days, but when all this was taking place, the break and the testing and the boil water that the county had to apply, it was very dry during that period, and it was very dry for the preceding weeks. But despite all that, we were able to get through the situation without buying county water, and we had plenty of water for during that period. So it was a very good test of our system. You know, we ran many years ago, probably, I don't know, maybe 16 years ago now, we ran a line down 146 and connected the Rexford and Clifton Park Water Authority systems. That was an extremely important strategic connection to make. Might have even been longer than that now. And that was an important strategic connection because that allowed us in these situations to get water from Glenville into the system when needed. And also it was just a good policy, good strategic, proactive planning to join the two water systems to ensure the viability of the whole system into the future, particularly with the Rexford system, which had a lot of issues over the years. There's no secret about that. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that. I was very pleased. I was in touch with the Water Authority on a regular basis during that time. I think they made the right decisions. They kept us informed. We in turn disseminated information with the means that we have electronically to residents. There was also a reverse 911 call that was made. But at the end of the day, good test. We shut off the county water system. Still had plenty of water during a very dry time of the year. During the summer, where our water usage is obviously the highest, and due to our strategic planning and interconnections and additional sources that we've been able to access, we were able to have enough water to get through without any issues. Obviously, with the county water system in the mix, we have that much more water available to us at a very, very reasonable price. So, we've done a lot on water. We've done a tremendous amount on sewer the last 20 years. And you know how you can tell it's been successful? Because nobody talks about it, except for us. I don't think so. Well, there's always going to be challenges, as we just saw. There's always going to be issues, but we'll get there. We'll go to public privilege. If you'd like to speak on the town matter, please raise your hand. We'll ask that you come forward. State your name and address for the record, and please keep it to 5 minutes or less. Any takers this evening? Okay. Well, I do want to thank everybody for their comments on the public hearings at hand. As we get into the next meetings, we'll consider these proposals and make decisions. But John will be getting a memo to the board as I described as well. Okay. So,
Motion to
entertain a
adjourn.
motion. Thank you. Second by Mr. Whalen.
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard? Yes. Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallowitz? Yes. Supervisor Barrett?
Yes, thank you.